Good evening. Welcome, everybody. We apologize for our technical difficulties, but we're glad you could join us to this point. I hope those of you that interviewed today feel like you had the best day of your lives, and I hope those of you that are interviewing tomorrow are ready to go. My only advice to you is get a good night's sleep and eat a good breakfast and be yourselves. That's all that the admissions committee wants to see is your very genuine self. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about the college, and I'm going to share my screen to do that. And so I appreciate everybody joining us tonight. I want to tell you a little bit about what's been happening in the college since the start of COVID. We were the first College of Veterinary Medicine, along with the University of Tennessee, to put seniors back in the clinic. So seniors went in the clinic on May 26th, and they have worked largely uninterrupted since that time. And I expect that they will make it to graduation without any interruptions, and that they will graduate on time. And we're really pleased that we've been able to provide for them essentially the same senior year that they would have had in a normal year. For the first 3 years, all of the laboratories have been face-to-face. All of the juniors got to do the same number of surgeries for junior surgery. The dissections were face-to-face in the anatomy lab. The lectures, about a third capacity could attend the lectures, and the rest of the lectures were streaming online, or you could watch them later. We did have some COVID cases in the complex. They were all acquired outside of the complex. And ultimately, there was no secondary spread. There are no instances in which somebody came to the complex with COVID and others around them became sick. We're not that unusual in that regard. That's been true in many veterinary schools, that the COVID cases, as long as you're wearing a mask and following our policies, there is no secondary spread of the virus within our complex. The hospital has been full service since really the first week of May. And we've been doing curbside service. I'm sure many of you have worked with veterinarians who are also doing curbside service. The diagnostic lab has also been full service the entire time, and they began to do COVID testing in April. And the COVID testing has been for primarily campus and some across the Manhattan community. And they're doing about 350 samples a day. We have about 4 investigators who have been actively doing COVID research. They've received, since April, 12 grants totaling $7 million and have signed 3 license agreements for vaccine and antiviral compounds. So we have the ability here, and I'll talk about it a little bit more, to do containment research. And without that ability to do containment, it would be very difficult for us to do COVID research. We are going to host the Student ABMA Symposium here, and we were really excited to host it on site with all students, maybe 1,000, maybe 1,100 students from all over the country coming here. But because of COVID, we have to host it remotely, which will be a challenge for us, but we're looking forward to doing that. And then next year, we'll be hosting the Pre-Vet Symposium, really for the first time in our history. If you have questions as we go, please put them in the comments section. And if they're, Dr. Ross will answer them as quickly as she can. And if she can't answer them, and if they're for me, then she will forward those questions to me for me to answer. We've done some interesting things with our curriculum lately. We've added certificate programs in specific areas, and the criteria for our certificate programs is that the program will attract students to come here and will advantage them once they leave our program. And so our first was in a food animal, and that one's been in place for about a year now, and we've had Right now, we have about 80 students across all 4 years of the curriculum that are involved and enrolled in this certificate program. What this really says is that for all your elective courses, you've taken those courses in a specific theme area, and in your senior year, you have the opportunity to demonstrate that you have some special skills that other students don't have. And when you graduate, you'll have an additional credential on your transcript. And so the other areas that we've developed in certificate programs, and I'll say if you interviewed here last year, you know that we did a poll of students that were interviewing last year and asked them, if we had certificates, which ones would you choose? The other certificate that we have that's active right now is shelter medicine, and we have a very robust shelter medicine program that I'll talk about in a few minutes. But this program has courses in behavior and animal welfare, as well as surgical skills. And the third one that is just going through the approval process is exotics. We have a really strong exotics program. We've got great faculty in exotics. And so that was a real natural for us to put together that certificate program. The ones that we're working on that are not quite ready to happen yet, but we believe that there are lots of students who want to be surgeons, and getting a surgery residency is extremely competitive. And so in this case, students would start to develop hand skills and surgical decision-making skills early in the curriculum that would be carried through to all 4 years. And we believe that additional credential will help them to get a surgical internship and then ultimately a surgical residency. We also are planning one in business management. It's not quite ready to go yet. The last one that's really an aspirational certificate program is in sustainability. But those are the ones we're working on the curriculum now. We also have, if you were to enroll in graduate school while you're here as a DVM student, we have programs. We already have certificate programs in public health. We have also an MPH program, and we have quite a few students who are enrolled both in the DVM and the MPH program. We also have a certificate in high containment research. So again, we have that capability to do containment. Our shelter medicine program has been in place for about 5.5 years. We have this beautiful trailer. It has 2 surgery suites in the front and a prep area in the middle and cages in the back. And we travel to 21 regional shelters that don't have a veterinarian, that are within 2 hours of Manhattan. So you leave the same day, you come home the same day, and you do surgery. We take 3 senior students, and you're on this rotation for 2 weeks. It is an elective rotation, and it's our most popular elective rotation. So while students are on the trailer, they'll do about 55 surgical spay-neuter procedures in that 2-week period of time. Right now, they've been on the road for 5.5 years, and we just did our 25,000th spay-neuter procedure. So we're really pleased with how effective this program is. It really helps students develop really strong surgical skills. It helps them to be able to have the skills that they would need to consult for a shelter that's in their area once they do take a job. And we've got a number of students every year who graduate and now take positions in shelters based on their experience on this rotation. It is our most highly rated rotation, and until a little bit ago, we could only accommodate about 72 students in the class, but we can accommodate more than that. T. Russell Wright's is the municipal shelter in Manhattan, Kansas, and now we're responsible for the medical care of all the animals that come to our local shelter, and we have an intern in shelter medicine who provides much of that care. To allow us to do more outreach activities and to ensure that every student that wants shelter medicine can achieve it, we have a new vehicle, and we call it our WOW vehicle, Wellness on Wheels, and we just took ownership of this vehicle less than a month ago. And it's a $450,000 vehicle, and it was completely gifted. And that's the beauty of the shelter medicine program, is when we go to those shelters, no money changes hands. It is entirely, we do the work for lunch. the price of lunch. So students get fed lunch while they're on the rotation, and really the shelters take a great deal of pride in who delivers the best lunch to the veterinary students. This is the inside of the new trailer. It has one surgery table in the back. It's really designed to do more than spay neuters. So it can also do community outreach activities and disaster response. So more capability, a greater range of pharmaceutical and therapeutics available. There are lots of opportunities throughout veterinary school to interact with the public, to provide public education, to work with children, to work with people in college who want to go to vet school. In this case, this is the state fair. It's one of our biggest outreach activities. The senior students man the birthing center, and they really do a beautiful job interacting with the public, and they're delivering calves live with cameras going and remote people watching. Sometimes there's more than 1,000 people watching the veterinary student deliver a calf on site at the state fair. We also have a program in which in which students of really any age go to the Boys and Girls Club of Manhattan and interact with children who are not going to have a lot of opportunities to learn about science in their life, and the veterinary students provide STEM lessons to those students. And really, the students who participate in this program will tell you that they came home and really gained much more from that interaction with these young people than they think they gave. That it's a really enriching experience for them. We have really committed the college to participating in community engagement activities. We've got a really strong core of faculty and staff who are willing to donate their time. This is the number of people that showed up on a Saturday morning to provide veterinary care in the city of Manhattan for people who own pets whose pet has never been to a veterinarian and they cannot not afford veterinary care. So these are students of every age, faculty and staff, providing basic care for underserved populations. The list on the left is the number of outreach activities that we participated in a year. And so we went from almost none to many, many in a period of 3 years. Right off, about 400 yards off my back window is this facility. It's the National Bio and Agri Defense Facility. This is the new Plum Island. It's a $1.25 billion federal facility that is a biosecurity level 3 ag and biosecurity level 4 containment facility. So that means foot and mouth disease, it means Ebola. Right next door to this complex is a biosecurity level 3 facility that allowed us to work on COVID. It's the only non-government facility that allows us to work on African swine fever, which is a tremendous threat if it were to be in this country. And so we've got a lot of opportunities for mostly graduate students to work in containment, and within the facility that's right next door to us, there's a training lab where you can learn to work in BSL-3 and BSL-4 facilities without having to actually work with live virus, and where you can learn during the summers, take a course in high containment. So we're really excited about NBAF being here. They're going to take occupation of this facility next October, and we have 8 graduate students now who are working in our complex, and USDA is paying their tuition, paying their salaries. They have a very generous annual stipend, and they will ultimately work in NBAF. And so some of these students are dual degree DVM PhD students, and we are really the pipeline for students that will, for really who's going to staff that building in the future. There are some students that USDA is paying for at other schools, but we have the highest number. We have 8, and most other schools have 1 or 2 of these types of students. These numbers that you can see, these are the scholarship distributions for academic years. We have committed ourselves to raising scholarship dollars as our number one fundraising goal, and we have almost doubled our endowment for scholarships in the last 5 years. We're getting very close to having doubled the endowment that's committed to scholarships. We recognize the concerns about educational debt and the impact that scholarships have on opportunities for students once they graduate. The other thing we did is we went through the curriculum and we looked for hidden costs. We provide the board preparation materials for every senior student, and we bought it in bulk, so we pay a lower price than you would have paid individually. And that's about a $300 savings for each student. We almost completely eliminated books. And so I'm guessing many of you have bought some books in undergrad that you didn't actually ever open or didn't actually ever use. And we know that textbooks often are outdated by the time you graduate. So, you know, there was once a time where those textbooks were very valuable, but we know now that by the time you're done, that textbook's probably outdated. So we try to provide everything you need without having you buy textbooks. So across the whole curriculum, we eliminated about $3,300 for every student. And we've frozen tuition for the last 3 years. So for our senior class, when they entered as freshmen, essentially their tuition has not changed since they were freshmen. So we're really hoping to hold tuition stable for as long as we can without increasing tuition. Our most important scholarship is a rural Kansas scholarship. It's called the Veterinary Training Program for Rural Kansas, and this scholarship provides essentially $80,000 to support tuition for 5 students in every class. And so it's $20,000 a year scholarship. And when you're done, you owe an underserved area of Kansas 4 years. And so we've had 76 recipients. 97% of them are either fulfilling or have fulfilled their 4-year requirement. And then after 4 years, 94% of the students are still practicing of the graduates are still practicing in a qualifying county in Kansas, and 77% are still in the practice that they joined when they graduated. So you can see each star represents a graduate and where they have gone to practice within the state of Kansas. The employment rate for the class of 2020 on the morning of graduation was 99%. Our pass rate on the national boards this year was 97%, and the national average was 94%. You can see we've had very stable numbers for a long period of time. So, you know, certainly at the time that you graduate, there'll be lots of opportunities for jobs. It is a great time to be a veterinarian. The ABMA tells us that the unemployment rate in 2020 for veterinarians is 0.7%. That's a ridiculously low unemployment rate. That new graduates have about 2.5 offers per graduate. And then for people looking to change jobs, there are about 3 jobs available for every job seeker. Now you see over here, this particular publication said there's 12 open jobs for every 1 veterinarian. I think that's a little bit optimistic, but on this chart you can see these are job seekers in green, and these are about available jobs in blue. And it's an unprecedented time in which there are far more open jobs than there are veterinarians to fill them, and it is not expected to change between now and 2028. So this sort of market where veterinarians are in tremendous demand is expected to continue. Here is where our graduates have gone in terms of their job interests, and you can probably look at your area of interest and see how many of our graduates went in that direction. We have a very broad foundational, non-tracking curriculum, which allows students to pick electives to get some areas of interest, to get some strength in areas of interest, but everybody gets to learn about everything, which makes you very flexible at the time that you graduate. This is where the last 5 years of graduates have gone, and you can see it's every state in the country. California and Texas are very popular destinations for our graduates. You can see Kansas is the most popular destination for our graduates, but really all but 2 states are represented in 5 years of graduates. We've done a lot of renovation in our complex, and almost all of it is focused on student space. This is our new anatomy lab. It's about 3 years old now. These are downdraft tables, so there's ventilation that pulls the formaldehyde smell away from the breathing zone for the student and takes it up this chase. Students can put their dissection guide on these monitors here, and you can see how beautiful the resolution is on those monitors. And this is one of our instructors, Dr. Sparks, and she has taken over the monitors, and she's demonstrating something specific that she wants the whole class to see. The other beauty of the monitors is you can get in line using the monitor. So if any of you have had anatomy class, you've probably been sitting there with your hand up, and then you get tired, you put your hand down, you work a little bit, and then you realize you've been passed over. You can use the monitors to essentially take a number, and then the instructors can see what table do I need to visit next to make sure that they don't miss anybody and that the distribution of support from the faculty is fair. The anatomy faculty are amazing. They're here in the evenings. They're here to help you whenever you need help. They are an extraordinarily committed group of people. This is the new histology area, and we also teach radiology here. So anything that's very imaging dense is going to be taught in this room, and you can see you can hook your computer up to that small monitor and work in groups, or the instructor can deliver in that to that monitor that comes right to your table. And microscope storage is back over there. This is our new clinical skills lab, and we used to just have clinical skills in the 3rd year of the curriculum, but now we have clinical skills through years 1 through 3. So we think it's important for students to start developing their hand skills from the very first week. And so this is a place where they have some very high-tech models that will allow you to have an experience that's very similar to a live animal, and even some low-tech models that are really helpful to get your to develop that muscle memory. And so again, a very popular class. And when currently the seniors were the first group to go through and have clinical skills throughout, and the faculty have noted, the faculty in the clinics have noticed that the students are far more prepared, their hand skills are far better since we started doing clinical skills training through all of the 3 preclinical years. This is where the 1st year students hang out. This floor did not used to have windows, and so we thought windows were important. There's a kitchenette here with a lot of microwaves, so you can be sure you can bring your own lunch. There's a window there where you can look into the anatomy lab and see what's happening, and lots of collaborative study space. The space was designed intentionally for students to work together, and you'll see that in most of the study spaces. If you go to our virtual tour, Dr. Ross put together some beautiful videos that walk you through these spaces. And you'll see that my pictures are not retouched. It really is this beautiful. These are the most popular spaces that we have, this booth seating, and you can put your study materials, you can hook up your laptop to there. Here's some private study rooms. Here's the clinical skills lab at the end of this hallway. And again, more collaborative study space, and hard to see here, but there's a kitchenette right there. And if you walk out this door, there's a grill area where you can have club meetings and cook at the same time, a picnic area. This is a pretty new space. We just opened this about 4 months ago. This is a new atrium, which allows us to do receptions and poster sessions. And if you look to the east wall of that atrium, it walks right into our new lecture hall. You can see some of the monitors showing the lectures. This is our first day of orientation this year for the new first year students. And so this lecture hall, brand new. We finished it really the evening before the new students came, and Boehringer Ingelheim was our sponsor here. Of all the spaces that I've showed you so far, that's all private gifting. We cannot do renovation on the backs of state funding or the backs of tuition. So all of the renovation that we do has been done through private gifts. And so Boehringer Ingelheim is our sponsor for this area. We also, off of the atrium, have a retail space. We have so many visitors to the college that they'd like to go home with a shirt or a dog bowl or something that has K-State on it. And our sponsor for this is Companion Protect. This is an insurance company for small animal. And so we're not quite open there, but we're pretty close to being done. This is what livestock services look like. It was built this way in 1978, and it really hadn't changed. And we wanted to make a more student-friendly and a more cattle-friendly facility. We had the help of Temple Grandin to design new facilities, and so now it has this drive-through drop-off, which the clients love, and wide alleyways that allow cattle to move freely through the system, and then they enter this bud tub. And they go through this hydraulic gate and then into the chute here. And you can see the chute is really quiet and really smooth. And that allows the clinicians to work on feed and legs and preputial issues. Just a really beautiful facility. This is about $1 million renovation, and Merck was our donor here. Our newest renovation is a new primary care center, and Hills is our sponsor. It's the Hills Pet Health and Nutrition Center, and you can see it's designed for separate canine and feline entry, separate feline waiting room, canine waiting room, aggressive dog area. The exam rooms are separate canine, feline. There's a comfort room here, a surgery suite, and a conference room. So primary care was working in a really small space, and they didn't have their own conference room, and I thought it was important for them to have better space. This is a rotation that every senior student goes through, and many of our graduates will ultimately go into primary care practice. So we thought there needed to be a better space. This was our old lecture hall. So if you were with us last year, you probably sat in this lecture hall. And it really is not an ideal design for students to feel like they're part of the discussion. And so we destroyed that lecture hall. We took it completely apart, and this is where the new Hills Primary Care Center is. And as you enter this space, you can see the canine waiting area is there. And so this is how far along we are. We're about 95% done. The signs are up. Here's again that waiting area, aggressive dogs behind the counter, regular dogs there. And here's the transaction area. The largest bag of dog food you'll ever see is there. And the cat waiting area is there, back to the cat exam rooms. And so it is really close to being done. You can see that's the hallway back to the comfort room there. Here's what the treatment area will look like, and this is what it looks like right now. So you can see there's still some construction going on, but just a beautiful, wide open space. And those large windows look into the student conference room. And as we go into the conference room, there's the table. There'll be computers here. So we're very close to taking occupancy of this space. And again, Hills is our sponsor, which makes sense. Hills is an hour down the road from us. And they have always had an important role in our college. This is their surgery suite. They've never had a place to do short anesthetic procedures before, and now they do. So it's going to be as much, it's meant to be as much like a private practice as possible. Here's an exam room, and there's the comfort room. You can see still a work in progress. We also renovated our Equine Performance Testing Center, where we evaluate horses with lameness, neurologic disease, respiratory issues. And we had this open design where, you know, it was getting cold in the winter. So we had a donor come in and close us in completely. And so now we're able to use this space 12 months out of the year. This is about a $500,000 renovation and provided entirely by a private donor. So of the things that you've seen, it's about $22 million in renovation in the last 3 years. And you can see most of them were designed to be targeted towards making a better environment for students to learn and work. These are our czars of wellness. They are our on-site counselors. They're available to students at no charge. You can see them as little or as often as you like. Dr. Hafen is here. He has been with us since 2004. Dr. Drake joined us in 2014, and she did her PhD with us before that. So she has essentially provided service to veterinary students since really 2011, so almost 10 years. And Dr. Hafen has been providing service exclusively to veterinary students for 16, almost 17 years now. So arguably between the two of them, no one has talked to more veterinary students who are having a hard day than these two. And certainly when you talk to the ambassadors, I think they'll all tell you veterinary school is hard. Everybody knows that. And that's why they're here, is to make that journey more comfortable for you. They are also responsible for our wellness programs, and we have quite a few. So by the end of the first semester, about 40% of the first year students will have visited them at least once. By the end of the fourth year, about 60% of the students have visited and talked with the counselors at least once. They also provide our communication training for fourth year students, and they meet with every fourth year student to talk about their tools for resilience once you go out into the world. What are your strategies for providing strength and retooling for yourself? We also, right off of their area, we built a new testing center so students with accommodations can take their exams right here within our complex and don't have to go to a site on main campus. That was a tremendous inconvenience for students that needed additional time or a distraction-reduced environment. And here we've got a couple of private rooms and then other quiet desks for students who take exams with accommodations. We also have a new fitness room, and we have yoga going on usually 3 times a week, sometimes 5 times a week within the complex. And so the fitness room is open 24/7. Students can go in there at any time. We've got machines, treadmill, bikes, those rowing machine, that sort of thing is in our fitness room. These are some of the wellness activities that go on. We have one very committed donor who is a 1980 graduate of our college who provides most of the funding for these activities. And then we've got a couple of other corporate donors who also provide funding for lunches, for movie nights, and we treat a partial part of the money as a grant for the students, where we ask the students to submit proposals for what do you want in terms of a wellness activity, and then the grants are reviewed, and usually 6 or 8 of them are funded, so that we have really students making some of the decisions about what sorts of wellness activities happen within the college. So that's all that I had, and I would be delighted to entertain any questions that you might have. Okay. Okay, so the first question is the exotic certificate going to be ready by fall 2021? Not sure yet. They have finished what their proposed curriculum for the exotics certificate, and we need to go through an approval process where the college approves it and then the university has to approve it, and that process usually takes about 6 months in a normal year. So hopefully, but I don't know for sure whether that will be the case. When will the surgical skills certificate be launched? They are currently working on the curriculum. It's going to take developing a couple of new courses, but they've got some work done on paper. They're a little behind the exotics group, so I would say probably fall 2022. If it's not ready by fall 2021, it doesn't mean you wouldn't be eligible to get that certificate. It would mean that we did pick up some people in the large animal certificate program that were in their sophomore year and were able to complete all the requirements. So we're hoping by fall 2022 that we would have that available. I'm currently in the Army Reserves. Do you know what the protocol is if I have to leave for training and miss school? Yeah, that depends a little bit on how much training you would be leaving for. We have had people in the reserves had to leave long enough that they have to fall back a year, and others that leave for just short periods of time, and usually that can be made up. So it depends a little bit on what that means. In the senior year, where you're going for the full year, 52 weeks, usually we can work in that reserve training into your 52-week schedule ahead of time. If we know at the time that we're scheduling you, we can make that work. It's usually not a big deal. So most of the people are doing that work during the summers, the 2-week requirement. So that for that one, the answer is it depends a little bit. If you really get called up for 6 months or 9 months, then those students have dropped back into the year behind. If you have additional questions, you can put them in the chat box in YouTube. And Sarah, do you have any questions that are pending that I haven't answered yet? Do you know when the business management certificate program will be launched? Well, I don't, and we will be working with the College of Business to build that curriculum, and we'll have to hire another faculty member to lead that certificate. So we're probably 2 years away from having a business management certificate going. But I'm glad you are excited about those particular certificate programs. We are really excited about that curricular addition. I think it will really advantage students once when you graduate, you'll have that extra credential that will set you apart from other graduates. Which part of the basic curriculum would you say sets K-State apart from other programs? Yeah, we are a non-tracking curriculum, and I think that's the strength of the program, is that broad-based across all species curriculum. It allows students to be very flexible. I am somebody who entered veterinary school wanting to be an equine veterinarian, and I took all the equine electives, and I was really, if you would have let me track, I probably would have tracked equine when I was in vet school. But while I was on the small animal side, you learn things, and I learned things that I wasn't going to learn on the equine side that I later applied as an equine internal medicine specialist. So there is so much to be learned from the comparative experiences that you have in veterinary school, that a non-tracking program is really important. And certainly as an equine person, I've met lots of people who would have tracked equine, and at some point, for whatever reason, they changed their mind 3 or 4 years after graduation, and those that tracked really had to go back and retool. And that's true in every area. That's really the beauty of being a veterinarian, is the number of jobs that are available to you, the number of the range of positions that are available to you, particularly if you've done a non-tracking curriculum. Okay, many research opportunities for students. Is there a specific department that students can reach out to if they're interested in cancer or oncology research? Well, there are a few researchers in anatomy and physiology, which is the department that's really responsible for delivery of the curriculum in the first year. And there are a number of researchers also in clinical sciences that are actually clinical oncologists that do clinical trial work. And so those two departments, anatomy and physiology and clinical sciences, both have faculty who do cancer research. If you're interested in very basic cancer research, then anatomy and physiology is the department to look into. If you're interested in applied cancer research, then you'd be looking at clinical sciences. We do have a number of programs that allow veterinary students to get involved in research in a very hands-on way. There's a Summer Scholars Research Program that allows students to do a project during the summer and then present it at a national meeting. And the clinical faculty, all of the faculty are looking for student workers, and they all understand that you're veterinary students, and they all understand that being a veterinary student comes first, and that they don't expect to see you the week before finals. They don't expect to see you on finals week either. And they know that you're going to want to work in the summer and over breaks and maybe early in the semester, but you're not going to work when you've got a really important test coming up, and they all understand that. I'm wondering about what's involved in a DVM comparative medicine dual degree. The dual degree programs are usually DVM PhD programs. We also have a dual degree DVM MPH, that's a Master's of Public Health. And so if you are a DVM student, you can carry some of your credit hours over to, and depending if less if it's a master's, more if it's a PhD, so that you take less credit hours during that time. The dual degree DVM PhD is, students can do it a number of ways. You can, do some of your PhD work, but mostly be a vet student. And then when you finish being a vet student, you might have 1 or 2 years to finish your PhD. Some students will do the first 2 years of the DVM curriculum, and then they'll take 2 years in between to work on their PhD, and then finish their DVM later. So, to say you can do it in less than 6 years is probably unrealistic. It's probably a 6-year commitment to do a dual degree DVM PhD. If you're going to do a dual degree DVM MPH, you might be able to get that done in 4 years. And some students finish up with a few of their courses after they're done, but you've got the summers where you can take that coursework towards the Masters of Public Health. And that Masters of Public Health is housed in our college, and you can go online and read the requirements, and you can actually, for the first time, take the entire MPH program online starting this semester. So we're really excited to be able to offer that flexibility, and we believe more DVM students will be able to do it, knowing that the coursework is all online. Are there opportunities for students to gain employment in the teaching hospital? Absolutely, there are. There are lots of opportunities for DVM students to work in the teaching hospital. The senior students need help at night. There's opportunities to work in ICU. all sorts of places where we employ DVM students in the hospital. It's a great way to really see what it is that you're learning about. So if you can learn about a particular, let's say, a cruciate problem in a dog and anatomy, and suddenly you're in the clinic and you're seeing animals that just had cruciate surgery, and the seniors will tell you as much as you want to know about that surgery. It is a great way to apply what it is that you're learning as an underclassman. And there are lots of, once you get here, there'll be lots of opportunities. You'll hear about job possibilities. There's also opportunities to be a tutor to help underclassmen once you've progressed a bit in the curriculum. Does the curriculum differ for students selected for the rural Kansas program? The students who do the rural Kansas program also do the food animal certificate program. They also do a special experience in their senior year where they take a 1-week business course. And when that business course, following that business course, they spend 3 weeks in a rural practice and they apply those business principles into that particular practice. They come back on the very last day of that 3 weeks and do a presentation and talk about they try to find a new service for that practice to offer and a new piece of equipment. And they do a business plan to decide whether that would be profitable for that practice or not profitable for that practice. So that is open to every student, but the rural Kansas students all are required to take that 4-week experience. The last question. Okay, that was the last question. All right, so I appreciate everybody joining us. Again, I hope you had your best day ever today. I hope you enjoyed your interview. I hope the ambassadors helped to answer your questions. And for those of you that are interviewing tomorrow, best of luck to you. Get a good night's sleep, eat a good breakfast, and be yourself. Thank you.
Yeah.